Welcome to What Your Pastor Really Thinks About Faith, Culture, Theology, and More. Today we're talking about AI. Is it ethical? Is Jesus okay with AI? Can I get closer to Jesus with AI? What is AI? A lot of fun stuff about AI. So we'll start off here. We'll just introduce you to the panel here of pastors. Pastor Matt Wolf, Arise Church, Denver. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. And yes, this is really me. I am.
As he freezes right there. How awesome.
The AI was like, I'm a real person.
Oh, that's amazing.
Pastor Ryan McBride, Catalyst Church, Canyon City. Are you a bot today?
I'm not a bot. Down in Fremont County, Colorado, man. Come on, we're 10 years behind. Culture flows downstream. I'm not even sure what AI is. So
he did have to log in through AOL to connect. So that's fair. Pastor Drew Tarwater, Forefront Church, Denver. How you doing today, sir?
You know, as a Nuggets fan, AI means Allen Iverson, right?
The answer.
Yeah, come on, the answer. But I think we're talking about a different AI today.
Close. It's really close. So I appreciate the effort there, Drew. I really do. So don't want to put shade on your effort there. But artificial intelligence, is it ethical? Can we use it as Christians? What about as pastors? Like that, like I use it, and I'm a tech nerd. I'm in the digital marketing space. We use it all the time for stuff. But what about in church? Can you use AI? What is there a line there? How do we use it? Pastor Matt Wolf, what are your thoughts on AI and Jesus?
Well, I would say I was so reluctant to start using AI. I was like, man, this is the thing. There was always like a technological thing that soon as cars come around, somebody like, I'm still on horses. Like computers, some people are like, no, I'm still going to use a typewriter and a pen and paper. Like there's always something. And when AI came out, I was like, I think this is it for me. Like I am going to the stolen age. But my wife, Melissa, loves it. She uses ChatGPT all the time for everything. So she has gotten me to use it. So I've started to use it more because just like anything, automation, computers, they're all tools that we can use. And so if you think about it like that, it can be used for good or bad, just like a fire can. Like fire, the first invention, like I have made fire. It's like you can burn down your house or you can cook a good steak. And what you do with it is how you approach it. So I think that's important. And heck, I used AI this morning. I have been on a diet now for a few weeks because I shared it in the first episode we ever did was my goal is that my chest sticks out farther than my gut. And I've been working out good. I've been hitting the bench press, my chest is growing, but yet the gut wasn't. So the last 3 weeks, I was like, I have to make a change. I need a calorie deficit. But I also want to maintain muscle, if not grow. So I needed, how do I get as much protein without as much fat and with a lot less calories? So I tell ChatGPT every morning what I'm eating, all throughout the day, I'm telling what I'm eating and it tells me the macros. It's helped me figure out I can pull it up on a restaurant. Hey, I'm going out to this restaurant to eat lunch. What should I eat? And it gives you 3 or 4 options. And I'm like, this is incredible because it counts it for me, keeps track of things. It can look up labels for me. I'm like, this is great. I used to use an app for this. I don't even need to pay for the $40 an app. This is free ChatGPT right now. So AI has some cool stuff. And I just want to say it's a tool. That's kind of my first thing. It's it's a tool. Could be good, could be evil.
Pastor Ryan McBride, when you dial in to go use ChatGPT or an AI, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It is amazing to consider just like how far technology has come. I was watching old reruns of 24 with Kiefer Sutherland, right? Oh, yeah. This is early 2000s. And the
24-hour battery life phone.
Yeah, so good. And he's talking to the guy and they're being all tactical. He's like, okay, pull out your Palm Pilot. And I just started cracking up, right? Do you remember? Did you guys have a Palm Pilot early 2000s before the BlackBerry came out even or whatever? And then It's just crazy. And then now what they're doing with iPhones, and then of course AI is the new big hot button deal. So I'm excited for this topic. I think that there's a lot here. I agree. I was even wondering if I love that filter of receive, reject, redeem. I know we've talked about that in previous episodes for different things. But I even love that, layering this up against that. Is this something we can receive? Is this something we should reject? or is there a way in which we can redeem it? And then how and when are those different levels appropriate? So this will be a good one today.
Pastor Drew Tarwater, do you use AI at all?
I do. I'm normally not an early adopter. I'm usually like a late adopter, but I was an early adopter with AI, and for me, I found it to be a really helpful tool. I think there's that question, can it amplify what you do, but not replace? Yeah. And I found that, we have to be really careful. I listened to a ton of podcasts and watched a lot of videos when AI first came out. Of course, everybody thought it was Skynet taking over the world. ChatGPT is going to lead us to the Terminator. But the more I began to recognize the way to use AI is to treat it well and to use it for good. And so I thought, well, what could be better than to begin to use AI to discuss Bible verses and to be able to look at content and those kind of things. So let's feed AI full of good things, right? And one of the things I realized earlier is AI is a great research assistant. Mm-hmm. AI is not good at replacing what you want to do. Like AI will never, in my opinion, be able to master the creativity of the human mind and human spirit, but it can give you some really good research. And so early on in sermon prep, I used to spend a lot of time sermon prep and going to Google, Google searching and refining searches and reading articles. And what I found that AI was really good at is helping you refine ideas. And so wordsmithing and being able to go, okay, what are some of the different concepts around XYZ? And it'll give that to you. And then you can ask further questions. And it takes a lot. It really does help you research well. I think like back to my grandma and grandpa, they were alive when the microwave came out. And it's like, okay, you need to warm up a slice of pizza. I think they were eating pizza back in the 40s, right? Like, you would need to warm up a slice of pizza. You can either turn on the oven, wait 20 minutes for it to warm up, and then warm it up for 15 minutes, or you can put it in the microwave for a minute. Why would you not use it for that? And I think the same way for AI. So for instance, the other day, I was teaching a Bible study for a men's group, and I just threw it in AI and I said, hey, print me a handout with blanks. 5 seconds later, I had a great handout with blanks that looked nice that I could just drop in Microsoft Word and print. That saved me probably 10 minutes. So it's just like warming up a piece of pizza. So if you can use it as a tool, I think you can use it well. The problem is when people start to use it as a replacement for their own work and their own creativity. And I think that's what leads them into a negative path.
Yeah, AI is an interesting tool in today's world, especially like in the digital marketing world, where I always tell people, I go, it does like 80% of it. And you still got to finish that last 20%. If you're too lazy to do that last 20%, what are you really doing? And the other fun thing with AI, I think, especially like in ChatGPT and other tools it's done, it's like, you remember when Microsoft Paint and then Photoshop came out? And there's people like me, like I could barely cut something out or, put, Ryan's head on Drew's body and it looks weird. But then everyone knew someone that was like really good at it. Like, what did you do? Oh, I use Photoshop. And I think AI is the same way. There's going to be ways people use it. You're like, oh, you use it like everybody else. And there's other people like once you really refine how to use, the prompts and to have it done really well, those people are really going to stand out. That's at least what I've seen like in the digital marketing space and on online and digital. Like I can read articles now. I go, that was ChatGPT because someone wasn't good about how they, commanded their prompts or went in and cleaned things up. You can, if you've seen it, you can do it. And then other times, like, I don't know how they did it, or they maybe did write it themselves, or they did, edit it themselves. That's where now there's a craft and a skill with it as well. But as we think about AI and Jesus and like, it's like kind of like good in, good out. Pastor Matt, like how do you kind of help balance the tools of like technology changing in life, but like still stay true to what's true? Like how do you balance that out?
Yeah, I mean that's the big question that people are figuring out right now. And I think when it comes to like our faith as followers of Jesus, it's got to be real. Like we are actually commanded. The greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. It's actually not a performance thing, because what we've been talking about is a little bit like performance oriented. I want my creativity to be a little better. I've used it for creative purposes. Like I'm stuck on an idea here. Give me an idea. I've used it for research. Okay, here's this ginormous 30-page article. I don't have time. Summarize it in a paragraph. Boom, got the summary. So it's a tool for that. But none of that, that's all performance. I can research quicker. I can create quicker. But none of those things are about how I love God and how I love others.
Yeah. Because
that's got to come from the heart. It's not real. And I think that for me is where I'm seeing right now that it's a little scary. I forget the name of the app. I'm going to pull it up right now. But there's an app that can create a song like that. You can say, hey, this is the subject. This is the style I want. I've used it. I showed it to my team the other day, and we're like, well, that's replaced writing worship songs now because you don't need any more. It's like high quality level. Boom, good to go. But if you're using that to worship God, are you actually worshiping from the heart? Maybe if you create the song and then you're truly singing the words, it's true biblical words. I want it to be based on Psalm 96, like it could probably make a good song, and then you can use it with your heart. But if you're like, I want to make a song for Jesus and for other people, and you use AI, well, you haven't done that. You actually haven't loved God and haven't loved others. I also am really nervous about what this is going to do for relationships, especially for young men, because you can get women too. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but young men, you can get AI now that will undress for you, talk to you, know your name, know everything you like, say exactly what you want, be learning. And so it's it's porn on, crack cocaine, times 1,000 for guys. And will they ever have a legitimate relationship with a woman who they can love, support, and then kids? No way. It's so much easier to do this fake relationship, but that isn't love. And actually that will lead you to the deepest pit of despair and depression if that is the relationship you have to receive your love, because it's fake.
Right.
It's not real. That scares me. What scared me the other day, Melissa was feeling discouraged. She homeschools 3 kids. She's doing a ton of stuff. She works at the church a little bit, and she was discouraged, and she typed into ChatGPT hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And it wrote her back the most encouraging, uplifting paragraph I've ever seen in my life. And she showed it to me, and I was like, dang, that's way better than anything I would think up and come up with. I wish I were that encouraging. It's you're a great mom. You're doing such an amazing job. And I was like, dang, that's good. And if she's using that then to become reliant on for our relationship, that's a scary thing, because I need to be the one growing to be a more encouraging, affirming, loving husband. It's hurting our relationship. And she just used it once, she was trying it out. On the flip side, I know I'm talking a lot right now, but on the flip side, can it help? I told that story to a friend of mine, and he told me just, I don't know, last week or something. He's like, yeah, my wife and I were having a fight. So we typed into ChatGPT what we were fighting about, and it put out this whole thing is well, this is why this person is thinking this and feeling this. This is why the wife's thinking and feeling this. This is a way that you guys could come back together. Think about these 3 things, write this down, and then you can come back. And he's like, it was cheaper and better and more efficient than paying a therapist. And we were able to resolve the fight, come back together, and move better. He's like, I've actually used it 2 or 3 times now. And it's helped us when we're having a fight or a disagreement about stuff, come together quicker, because it's a little more objective in a sense. And I was like, dang, you're using AI now to bring your relationship together and love each other better. In that case, I'm like, that's a great thing. So once again, it's like a tool. It can be fired to burn your house or cook your steak.
Yep.
Pastor Ryan, what are your thoughts of AI and using it to find a place that your wife's going to like when to go out to eat at?
Yeah. Right? That's an impossible task even for AI. However,
anywhere you want to go, Ryan. Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. Yeah.
Not that place. Yeah.
Anywhere but there.
That's right.
But they have fries. But
I agree. I do think it can be leveraged both for negative things and even evil and for good. I was doing some research on this actually. So one of the big things that has sparked a lot of controversy around AI and the church and faith and religion and all that stuff. So have you guys heard of the Deus in Machina? It was this experiment in St. Peter's Chapel in Switzerland, where they had an AI generated avatar of Jesus that they placed in a confessional. And so people would come and they would sit in the confessional, and then they would write, talk about their issues and the things, their sins and their challenges. And there's this AI generated Jesus who would interact and respond and talk with them. That's so there's a lot of controversy around that. That's probably not something we talked in past episodes about leveraging, pop culture and things like that. That's probably not something we would do. We're probably not getting our Jesus up on the screen to preach a sermon or something, another example, and I'm not a Chiefs fan, right? I'm not a Patrick Mahomes guy, but what they're doing now with some of these videos, like post-game interview videos. You've probably seen this. I saw one during the football season where they took Patrick Mahomes and like his mouth, I'm not a lip reader, but like it lined up perfectly. And the things that he was saying, dogging on teammate, I mean, it was just filth, horrible, awful. And I've seen enough interviews to know he's got more class than that, even if I don't like him. And so like, it's easy to tell that it's a fraud, but it makes you stop for a second and go, oh my gosh, did you hear what, Patrick, I had a friend who's like, did you hear what Patrick Mahomes was saying about his teammates? I was like, buddy, that's not real. He's like, yeah, totally. Yeah. It's just crazy. And so that's the kind of damaging power also that I think AI has, and that we've got to be really, really careful with. But again, there are then the positive sides. My buddy Kyle, who does all of our tech stuff at Catalyst Church, I've been gone a lot these past couple months and doing out and about doing things and traveling and stuff like that. And so I didn't get him small group questions on time one week. And so he's like, it's all right. He just took the link to our message from YouTube, punched it in and said, give me a small group study from this. I mean, and literally within 5 seconds, it cranked out like incredible, just on point notes from my sermon that they were then able to go use and distribute for small groups and whatnot. And so, there are benefits like that. So we're starting to really just discover that again. We're in Fremont County, and so we're probably behind the ball with all the AI stuff. But and certainly I haven't really delved much into that world. But it is intriguing to consider the negative and the positive that could come out of it.
Drew, when you think of the negative and the positive of AI and what it can do, what are the guardrails you would put up?
Yeah, I think, if I could speak to pastors for a moment, or church leaders, the reality is most people in your church or in your group are using AI at some level, right? Most everybody is pumping through things on ChatGPT. So there is this reality that rising tides raise all ships, right? And so this tool does give us high quality information at our hands, which means if you as a leader are going to speak, people can fact check you. I mean, they could fact check you on Google before, but now they can really fact check you really quickly. So I think it does put a little onus on us to really make sure we do our homework, right? I think it's also puts the onus on us to be honest, right? If we all of a sudden, start to try to think to put out content that we didn't create and claim that we created it, well, man, people can check you on that too. And so I think a heart of integrity is important as leaders. As pastors, I would encourage anybody listening, don't be afraid to use this tool, again, like a microwave, right? Or fire, right? When fire was first created, or the automobile, but use it with care. A lot of the experts I've listened to on AI and the ethics of AI have said it comes down to who is using it. So if more people use AI for good than bad, then AI will actually develop good ethics continued. If people are worried about AI becoming really negative, well, if people are using it for crime and to take advantage of people and those kind of things, if that's what it's primarily used for, AI has some really dangerous, unethical uses. But if we're using it in a positive way, we're treating AI well, I think we can make a positive impact in the future of how AI responds to situations. So it's really interesting. I was listening to a John Piper video or watching John Piper video recently on Instagram, and he was talking at a conference, and he said he asked, you guys might have seen this. He asked AI to write a prayer, and it was like the most eloquent prayer you've ever heard. And he said, but remember, guys, this is a machine. This machine is not praising God. Just because it can put praise on a line of text, it's not praising God. And so we have to, in the same way, realize, man, it's a tool to be used and to help raise all ships. but it in no way replaces the heart that we have in our relationship with Jesus.
Yeah. Let me jump in here real quick, because it's just so funny. It's just as you're talking about that, like literally my phone buzzes because I get all these like random texts from different companies and whatnot. I get this text and it's from Sermon Done. Like literally as we're talking about this, it's from Sermon Done, and it's pastors everywhere are talking about Sermon Done. It's the only AI built just for sermon writing. It saves me time, boosts my confidence, and helps me preach more like myself. I recommend it to every pastor everywhere. And then he signs his name. Literally, as we're talking about this, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know. I'm probably not, I'm definitely not preaching a sermon built by AI. I mean, again, like it could even crank out, like I might search or do some research and use AI for certain elements of a sermon, but to be like, okay, write me a sermon, just like John Piper with the prayer, or, an encouraging love letter for Mother's Day or birthday or whatever. Right. Like that's just a whole different, I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Like, are you letting AI build a sermon for you? And I mean, even, of course, you're going to go back through and fact check it and look it over, but are you letting AI write your sermon?
Oh, I'll write the prompt for you, Drew, sometime. We'll put it in there. We'll be like, let's do a sermon on the book of Matthew 15, with the heart of John Piper, with some of the anger of Mark Driscoll. Go.
Oh man, that's funny. That's good.
Sometimes,
yeah, right. So sometimes, so Ryan, one of the things that I've found helpful is I'll go into AI and I'll say, hey, help me think through a sermon point on this concept. So this week I'm this Sunday, the Sunday we recording this, I'm preaching on the miracles of Jesus, right, in John chapter 5. And so I'll say things like, help me think through a sermon point on Jesus' authority and the miracles.
For sure.
And then I might even say, hey, is there an illustration that fits that in the real world? And it'll spit out a couple illustrations for me to then go and research or watch a video on. And I think that's where the research tool for me has been super helpful. Yep. But man, I've seen some of the guys out there who try to have it write a sermon for them, and it's archaic and old school and boring and not engaging. So
right. King James language.
Yeah. So I wonder, is your phone spying on us because we're talking about this?
I mean, it's technology, man. Like that's crazy how that works. You talk about an item that you saw, and then you start scrolling Facebook, and all of a sudden you're seeing that item advertised, right? Like that's the technology world.
Ryan, that's my company. I'm the one following you around. So when you search Adirondack chair, you're like, why do I keep getting all these chair ads? That's me with one of my clients going, follow Ryan. We're going to get Ryan. He's going to make a decision. Right. So yes, we are the ones stalking you. Yes. So Pastor Matt Wolf, you've been quiet for a little bit, thinking about AI and the guardrails. What are your thoughts here as we wrap this up?
So, I mean, I think Drew's got some good points on this about writing sermons. I mean, I am very much about write your own message. I mean, this is part of the way we love God and we love others. If you're going to use, like, this is before AI. It's like, if you're going to use other people's stuff, just say it, because I quote people all the time. I have ideas from people all the time, and I'll say, hey, got this idea from Tim Keller. Here's a quote from, Ryan McBride, whoever you're going to quote, and you say it, and it's fine. With AI, I have found people like it too. I have only used it a few times. Like, hey, I need a sermon illustration idea. Give me 8 analogies for this. But then I'll always take it and tweak it and make it better. For sure. So like, I haven't used something wholesale. I have used images though in messages. I was preaching through Psalm 23, and I've always had this image in my head when it comes to you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Because it's like sheep all the way up to that. And it's like, I've always been like, oh, I wonder what it would look like to have a sheep eating at a table, this banquet surrounded by wolves. And like, that's a lot of work to get an artist that can do that. I thought of the idea on Wednesday. I need it by Sunday, So I put it into AI, and I got a killer image, and I showed it, and I was like, I think this kind of visually represents how I sense that passage is talking about. Yep. It was a cool image, and people afterwards were like, oh, that's so cool. How'd you do that? And so when we can use it like that, we can improve, enhance what we're trying to do. But the idea originated in my own brain, and then I used the tool to make it happen. Just like if I told an artist, hey, could you paint this? That's what would come out. It's just a lot quicker. And I don't have to rely on that person. I might do that for something else. I might ask an artist to render something for another purpose. but it's a little bit cheaper and quicker to do it with AI.
Pastor Ryan, as we wrap up our thoughts here on AI and Jesus and the ethicalness of it, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's anything more I can add. I agree. I think a tool to be used and leveraged, there's a real benefit there. But also, just be aware of the danger. I just think about the relational danger that Matt, that you were talking about, and that's stuff that I see that I'm aware of too. And there are, and this is true of so many things in this life, not just when it comes to AI, but that it can be used for good or for evil. So just be very careful. Pray for wisdom, discernment on how you leverage that technology. So
could I jump into, I was just thinking, like, one of the things you have to be nervous about when you use AI, because like people writing whole sermons, outlines, study this passage, give me scripture references, is like we shortchange our future self sometimes.
Yep.
Because like I have now preached, 40 to 50 times a year for 14 years. And I hope I've gotten better over that time. And I've memorized a lot of scripture. I've studied now 40 or 50 passages a week. Like I know the Bible way better now than I did, because there's people always ask, how long does it take you to make a message? And it's like, well, for me, 37 years, right? It's all of this stuff built up to that. And I think if you're like, hey, study this passage for me, write this message for me, you're shortchanging your future self.
Yeah,
you may never be able to do it, and you're fully relying on it. It kind of scares me. Like I would actually rather be the guy that knows scripture inside and out, that knows God's word, has eaten it, devoured it, loved it, and it just comes out of me. Like that's what I want. So I love spending my time studying the passage.
You want to become the AI.
Yeah, exactly.
You are generating the knowledge.
I mean, I love God's word, so I want it deep in my soul as much as I can. I don't want to shortchange my future self.
It's good.
That's good. Pastor Drew, when you think about AI and the ethics, final thoughts.
One last thought, guys. I used to live not super terribly far from an Amish community in mid-Missouri. And so we would drive down the highway, and occasionally we'd see like a buggy getting pulled by a horse. And the reality was, like, they made the decision to that's how they were going to live, and they had to deal with all the cars flying by them. And for us, AI is in our future, no matter what you're going to do. So you just got to make a decision. Do I want to use it? And if so, cool. If not, it's going to be, I'm going to choose to run without it. It's going to be like cars driving by me all the time. And I think just land on intentionality. I am going to use AI with intentionality and honor, or I'm not, and just run your lane. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here, but I do think it can be a great tool if used the right way. So check your heart in everything you do.
It's good.
Absolutely. As we wrap this up, if you have questions or thoughts, leave them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you, or reach out. You can reach out directly to me. I'll get you to the guys or whoever. A great resource. It's just Rob at Simpler, SYMPLER.com. We'd love to hear from you, hear your thoughts. And the use of AI can be used for good or for evil in this sense. I thought it was pretty good. So,
man, that's like spot on, man. It looks just like you.
So Pastor Ryan played in an adult softball league, and it was either him or his wife, I forget, posted it on Facebook. And so I'm there one evening just playing with ChatGPT on my phone and putting prompts in there going, like, make Pastor Ryan into an old man church softball league baseball card. And so epic. I don't know if that's good or evil. You guys can be the judge, but then it came up with some more creative ideas of doing it.
Oh, that's my favorite right there.
Sliding in, I'm assuming third there, getting the extra base hit.
Right.
Oh, man.
I love the church.
And then we also got to get him the game face on there. So we put it with more of the game face and put a more, I think I use like a Marvel effect. I go make him look like a Marvel character.
And AI makes me look good. I feel like all three of those guys would whoop my butt, man. Like,
yeah, those guys are tough.
Who was that guy on the Red Sox? Like you definitely, this looks like him.
And then,
yeah. I know who you're talking about. Gosh,
mid 2000s.
Yeah,
he'll come to us like right after we finish.
Right.
Yeah, so he's clearly got his chest out farther than his stomach in this picture. And then we'll wrap it up with this one.
There he is.
Yeah, there it is.
That's the closest
McBride.
one, actually, probably.
Yep, that is close. Yeah.
So sorry, I had to do that to you, Ryan. Sorry.
Love it.
So my wife has now revoked my AI privileges. So
understandably.
But yeah, so guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, follow along. It's What Your Pastor Really Thinks here and everywhere you can find podcasts.